What's going on, everyone? Matthew Osborn here. Welcome to the third part in the 14-day eFLIP challenge intro series. If this is the first video you're watching, go back, watch video 1, then video 2, and then come back and watch this video. They're put in order to help you guys know how to do this 14-day challenge. In this specific video, we're going to dive into the types of searches you can do for eFLIP to find profitable books to resell online. All right, so now we are getting into the fun part. The first part was making the plan. Hopefully that was fun for you too, but that's just giving you an outline of what to do for the next 14 days. Second part, if you've never used eFLIP or don't know what online arbitrage is, that explains that. And in this video, we're gonna do the fun stuff of actually finding the profitable books to flip. We're gonna be talking about the different ways you can use eFLIP to find profitable books. Now, a lot of people, when they think of eFLIP, think of textbooks. They buy textbooks in the off season, sell them in the on season, or in textbook season, and they make very large margins doing that. It's very often you can find textbooks for $15 in the off season and then sell those same textbooks for $30, $40, $50, $60, $80, $100 in textbook season. So the margins are very attractive. It's easy to see why a lot of people would kind of lean towards textbooks when they're doing eFLIP. Except I want to caution people that are just starting eFLIP, that are just doing this challenge as a first time getting into online arbitrage, to not do textbooks right off the bat. There's two reasons for that. Number one, normally when you're buying textbooks, you're going to be buying them in like May, June, July, hoping to sell them at the end of August, beginning of September. That means you're going to be spending money for 3 months, hopefully you consistently, to get good results from it. So you're spending money for 3 months, you're not going to get any money back from those books until textbook season rolls around. So it's difficult, especially if you don't have tons of capital to start out doing textbooks. You're going to be buying for a long time before you see any of that return. The second, and probably the biggest reason I don't recommend you do textbooks if you're just starting out with eFLIP, is that you make more mistakes when you're first starting out. The reason we tell a lot of people to start with the 100 book challenge, do physical sourcing first, is that the risk is a lot lower. You might make mistakes still, but you're spending 50 cents to $1 on a book. Versus eFLIP, you'll be spending $10, $20, $30, $40 on a book, and they're going to be more costly mistakes. So the last thing you want to do is spend 3 months and a ton of your money buying textbooks that you think are profitable, but you're looking at it the wrong way. Maybe you're not analyzing it correctly, and textbook season rolls around and it's a flop. You've lost a lot of money. That's not where we want you to be. We want you to be successful from the start. So just to get your feet wet to figure out if you're doing it successfully, we want those quicker flips to come first so you can get that feedback. You can get the profit to be able to reinvest into doing a higher capital, moving your plan up, spending more money, making more money. And if you're making mistakes, you see that very quickly and you're not waiting 4 months to see if you've made mistakes. So that's the reason I say for this challenge, if you're new, stay away from textbooks for right now. You can dabble in it if you want to. Textbook season is coming up, but just know, like I said, if you're making bad decisions accidentally, you won't know it for a couple months and then it will be costly. So I don't want to scare you from it in the future. People do it successfully. A lot of people do it very successfully with eFLIP. Just wait until you've got a little more experience under your belt. But the cool thing about this challenge then is that we're going to be doing a lot of quick flips. We're going to be doing a lot of merchant fulfilled to FBA. I'll show you a few other ones we can do. But you're going to be getting the money back quicker into your pocket. And a lot of people don't use eFLIP for this purpose. They go straight to textbooks and think kind of that's all you can use eFLIP for. Not at all. We're going to show you the other ways you can do it. Back when Outliers, the eFLIP 2.0 kind of thing I was telling you about, was first released, Caleb did a video outlining how to use Outliers, and he shows almost the exact same searches I was planning on showing for this challenge. So instead of redoing it, Caleb can explain it probably a lot better than I can. So we're going to splice in that video of him showing the different searches you can do. I want you to pay attention. He shows 5 different searches. He shows low merchant fulfilled to higher prime. He shows how to ignore the prime price and go to the third highest merchant fulfilled. He'll show how to use Amazon's price and to ignore Amazon's offers or to not ignore Amazon's offers. A lot of different things he'll go over. So I'm going to splice in that video right after this. Write down the different searches he's doing. You can say search number 1, see the criteria he's putting in there, and you can kind of write down a few different searches you guys can start doing for this challenge. Again, I recommend doing the searches he talks about in this coming segment versus going straight into textbooks. So take some notes and we'll meet up again in just a moment.
Again, the way this works is you can set this up and say, for example, I want to find the cheapest used price. I don't want to spend any more than 20. Again, these prices include shipping. let's go right and just show you how this works. Again, the main concept of eFLIP is cheap merchant fulfilled offers, or the cheapest used copy. And we actually want to see what the cheapest prime copy is. So we're going to say, hey, let's look at, for example, the lowest prime price. And we're going to go and say, I want the cheapest prime price to be at least $50. I don't care what the new buy box is necessarily, or the used buy box, we'll leave that alone. New buy box or cheapest prime, let's try and find $50 or higher. Amazon 50 or higher, and we've included this checkbox. And what this does is it lets you say, hey, I want to find books where Amazon's on the listing for 50 or higher, or I want to include ones that Amazon's not on the listing. So you can turn that on or off. Before, if you wanted to find books that weren't on the listing, you had to take Amazon sliders and slide them both down to 0, and it was just a second search. Not a big deal. We tried to make that just a little bit easier. So we're going to find books where Amazon's on it for 50 or higher, or is not on it. We're going to leave the rank at 1 million. eScore, you can change this as much as you want. We're going to say 6. So I want a book to be selling at least once a month, so 6 times in the last 6 months. We're going to hit search. Again, if you're used to eFLIP, you're used to instantaneous results. This will take probably 3 to 5 seconds, but I guarantee it's worth it. So the same filtering situations apply. If you click on the title, it's going to bring up all offers. If you click on the ISBN, it's going to bring up the prime offers. Now, before we dig in, look, the lowest prime price and the used buy box, they almost always match. So again, the used buy box almost always goes to the lowest prime price. In some cases here, it's higher. That's probably because this seller is either just launched or doesn't have great metric. Let's go look at it. So the $199 ranking, actually, it's a big seller with great feedback, but for whatever reason, they didn't qualify for the buy box. So maybe they've got some issues on their account. Who knows what it is? Could just be a glitch. But in that case, you can see the buy box is a little bit higher. In some cases, it's lower. So the cheapest prime price here is $65. The buy box actually went to the lowest used offer, which in this case is probably merchant fulfilled. We can go click through there, see if we can figure out why. So there's plenty of prime options now, and either none of them qualify or some of them just listed and will qualify instead. But again, if your goal is to find cheap merchant fulfilled books, in this case $11, sell them prime, this is again, it's sort of like cheating. It gives you access to this data. So let's go see if these offers are still here. Again, prices change a lot. That's common. It's okay. Again, we update everything within the last 24 hours. And in this case, that cheapest offer is gone. If we were to buy this next offer up, it'd be 24 plus 4. It'd be about $28, and it's in good condition. And we can sell it prime for in the $58 range. So let's just, before we even look at the numbers, see if it's a good buy. So again, we're going to buy it for roughly 28. We could sell it for roughly 58. If we did that, again, we'd spend $28. The software knows what the weight is. It factors all the fees in for Amazon. And it tells us we'd make a profit of $14. So again, the ROI is only 50%, but you're not waiting for the price to go back up. You can sell that immediately. It's a $14 profit with just one click. If you use a prep company, you typically pay them $1 to $1.50 to manage it for you and never touch that book. Let's zoom out and see if this shows textbook patterns. Here we see a nice smiley face. Green is the sales rank. So this is selling a lot. The price went up in January. It's actually selling a lot more in August. You can see the demand was a lot stronger and longer in this case. So this would be a good book to flip now. Again, the price is normally in the $20 to $30 to $40 or $50 range, and for whatever reason, the price has recently just tanked. Probably a couple sellers have come on this listing and just dropped the price. So that's great. It's not as good as if we'd found it at $5 or $6 or $8 or $10, but we could still buy it for $28 and sell it for that $58 range. Now, there is a lot of resistance at the $59 range. If you're willing to wait for 5 or 6 or 7 people to sell out, it's feasible you could get in the $70 or $80 or $90 range, but you're going to wait longer for that. And again, the goal with outliers is to try and look for those quick flips. Let's look at some other ones. Here's a book for $19. The lowest prime should be $55. So let's see if the $19 offer is still there. Looks like someone beat us to that one as well. However, we can pick one up for about $30, and the cheapest prime should be in the $55 range, which it is. If we're willing to wait and be number 2, we can be $60. This book is selling consistently. I don't really see a textbook pattern, so this isn't necessarily a textbook. It does look like a educational title, but this book is selling a lot. I see a lot of heart rate. I do see a little bit of a smiley face in August. Probably not, maybe a little bit in January, but not a ton. So this book's likely to sell. It's not a home run, but we can buy this again for about $30. Sell for $55 to $59, somewhere in that range, and again, make close to 40% ROI. So that's, again, this is the main concept behind outliers, but this is just the very first search. It's very powerful. Let's show you a couple other searches here as we get into this intro video as well. So it's not just for finding cheap merchant fulfilled where the prime is higher. You can do that here. We could actually do the same search and actually bring prime prices down to 0. So again, if there's no prime prices in the lowest 15 to 20 offers, then they won't show up in the API. So we could actually do the same search and find books where there is no prime price visible because there's not a prime price in the lowest 15 to 20 offers. So you'll see no value shows up. If we brought these sliders down both to 0, we'll find ones that have no value. So here we can see that the buy box, so these are books that wouldn't necessarily show up in the search we had just done. These are all different. You can see the cheapest used price is 11. The buy box is 21. That's not high enough to justify it. 8 to 20, no thanks. 5 to 7, no. So again, you can quickly look down. 16 to 42, that's intriguing. E-score is 54, so it's selling a lot. Let's see if we can still get a $16 offer. Looks like it's still there, $12.74 plus shipping. Again, it includes landed prices. We could buy this good for 12 plus 4, so it's going to be about $16 to $17. Let's see if that prime price is still in that $42 range, which it is. So again, this software is like having X-ray vision. If you're looking for those flips, it's going to be fantastic. Let's go back and look at books that are about 50 or higher. And instead of looking at the cheapest prime, I'm going to look at the third lowest used. And there's a reason for this. We could look at the second used and just find prices where there's one outlier price, one price that's way below where everybody else is. I don't want to look at those because usually that's when someone listed a PDF or an instructor's edition or international edition or a damaged book, and so everybody's ignoring that seller. I want to find books where there's two prices that are in this cheap range under $20, and the third price, third lowest used, it could be prime or merchant fulfilled, the third lowest price is at least $50. And what I'm looking for here is books where the meat of the market or the resistance is in that $50 range, and there are cheap offers under $20. What usually happens here, one, you could have some bad editions again. You could have two instructors editions listed. What I'm hopeful for is we're going to find books that somebody repriced incorrectly, really low. Somebody else's repricer matched them and they got into a bidding war, or a bidding war not where they win, but where the buyers win. And in this case, we can see the lowest price is $12. The third lowest price is $614. Let's see what's going on here. So again, our database does not have new pricing in it. It's just going to have Amazon's or the new buy box. A lot of times when you see cheap new prices, that could be a red flag that there could be counterfeits, or in this case, maybe not. So here's those two outliers. We're seeing some open box stuff, so this may be considered like a software. That's pretty rare to see that in the books category. Looks like it's in the health, household, and baby care. So maybe that's not the best book you want to get. It definitely is a book. So for whatever reason, Amazon's settings are perhaps just a bit off here. But in this type of condition, you can come in here, buy up the cheapest two offers, and then resell them prime or even merchant fulfilled in the $50 or $60 range. It is selling quite often based on the rank chart up there. Amazon's not on this listing. There's no orange listing here, so nothing to worry about there. Let's look at a few other options. So again, here's one for $20. The third lowest is $73. So let's go and see why there's some outlier prices. Looks like somebody beat us to that one, so off to the next search. Again, a $19 range, which there is. Looks like somebody bought another one here. There used to be two in this cheap range. Now there's not. So someone beat us to it. Again, I stay away from anything with liquid damage. I'm going to leave it alone. When you do find books like this where there is one outlier price, this is a great example to come into Keepa, say track product, and actually set the used price to be 15. You want to get notified when it drops to 15, 11 or less. You can start tracking. They'll actually send you an email. That's how I typically get my results. So if somebody came in and undercut this, or one of these repricers said, hey, we haven't sold it and we're now 3 months on the market, it's time to drop our price, you would get notified immediately from Keepa. That'll let you know to go in there and snatch up that book if someone drops their price under what the lowest price is. So I love it when I see these books that are damaged. I'm not going to buy them, but if someone prices under it, that's a great chance to come in and scalp the listing and try and resell that. Let's try and find a couple more here. So here's some again. Anytime I see new prices really low, I get a little concerned. It doesn't necessarily mean anything's wrong, but a lot of times that can indicate there's some counterfeits going on. It's important here. You got some prices at 10, 10, 10, 20. It jumps up to 30 and then 50. Now this book isn't selling all that often. If we zoom out, we don't really see a textbook pattern. It's probably selling once a month, once every 2 to 3 weeks, give or take. And the used price has pretty much been in this $10 range. So that's not a great example to come in and try and move the market. It's never shown cases that it's going to sell in the $40 range. So that's probably not one I would buy. But again, that's the concept behind outliers. You're trying to find either mispriced or cheaply priced books where you can buy up the market, buy 2, 3, 4, 10 copies if you're really aggressive, and try and move those for a profit. Let's show you just a couple other searches real quick. So we're going to clear this out. Again, it does take a couple seconds to load, but I promise it's worth it. Let's find some examples here where the lowest used price is under 10 bucks. Let's go find some really cheap ones. And again, if you're watching this, I'm posting it today on November 27, 2017. If you're watching this, feel free to come in. I'm not buying any of these books on the live search. So if you're the first one in and you see something good, feel free to come in and snatch that up. I'm going to leave the used one alone. I don't care. We're just going to go right to the buy box. So again, buy box is usually lowest used prime price. So I want to spend less than 10. I want to price it prime for 40 or higher. I want the new buy box or the cheapest new prime to be in that same range of 40 or higher. I want Amazon to be on the listing for 50 or higher. And if they're not on the listing, I'm going to look at that as well. Rank at 1 million, eScore, I like to put it, again, feel free to tweak these. I like to put it at 6. We're going to do that search real quick, see what pops back. And again, you can sort these once the results come up. You can sort it by eScore, low to high or high to low, rank, low to high, Amazon. Again, we're getting offers where Amazon's on it for high or they're not on the listing. So again, it's returning a lot more of those results for you. In this case here, we can see the lowest price is 8, next lowest is 14, the buy box is 46. So all of these are potential good flips. Again, it's dependent upon having good flips in here. So here we've got 2 prices. We got lots of offers in the good range. This book's not selling often. It is a January textbook, so this book actually would be a good book to flip. You can see in January, you could snag it for under $1 plus shipping. With all the demand came up, the price actually went, the lowest used price went to $34, and prime was probably higher. We don't know that. Nobody has that data necessarily. And then in the off season, it came back down, just a function of supply and demand. So this would be a good book. You can get shipped in for $5. The cheapest prime should be in the $43 range unless it moved. Looks like it still is. Amazon's now on the listing for $55, so you don't want to price too close to them. But you could buy up some offers, certainly in that $5 range. Let's say you just wanted to be next in line and not even wait and try and get, what was it, 43? Let's say 43 is a little high. If you're fine going at $29.95, you can get a 280% ROI. If that price will go back up in textbook season, you can get that $43 price point. There's a 500% ROI. Again, a profit of $25 on a $5 investment. Feel free to play with the calculator because you can put in cheaper prices. Let's say you only get $19.95. You would still double your money. $5 may not be worth it to ship it in, deal with some returns, send it into Amazon. But again, spend $5 to make $5, and that's probably worst case. So that's a pretty good example. Let's look at some other books. Here's a $10 book. And somebody beat us to that. Again, that's fairly common. Prices are changing. Here's a $9.67 book. So 5 plus 467 is 967. Again, water wrinkling, I'm ignoring that one. The next price up is 17. I'm good with that. It looks like it's not a really big textbook pattern, but the pricing has sold in the $30 range, merchant fulfilled. Didn't sell for a while, kind of in the off season. Looks like maybe more sales here. So this book has sold in the $20 to $30 range. I've never seen it jump really high, so maybe not a great flip. We can probably do better. But that's the concept here. You can essentially cheat or have that x-ray vision and find out what the cheapest prime price is. One more, and then we'll let you have at it. So again, it's great to look for these cheap books, but that's where everybody's looking. That's where the competition is. So look, I like to go up a little bit higher. Let's find something in the, let's say, $30 to $50 range. And again, just like the old eFLIP you're used to, if you want to type in any specific price, you can do that. If you have a magic price point or whatever. Let's look between 30 and 50. Again, I'm going to leave the lowest used alone. I want the minimum used buy box. Let's go crazy. Let's make it be at least 100. The new buy box, at least 100. Amazon, let's push it up to, let's say 125. We'll leave the rank 1 million or less and the eScore at 6 or greater. What we're doing is we're trying to find books in the $30 to $50 range that we can buy, ship to our house or a prep company, and then we can sell prime for at least 100. So here we go. Here's the lowest used at 45. Second lowest, they're in that same range, which is what you would expect. The used buy box is over 100. So this book, we can see the rank is great. eScore is selling nearly every day, at least 2 out of 3 days. Let's see if the $45 price point is still there. It is, but again, this is acceptable. So you'll see these mega sellers that list them. They've either got them and they can't move it locally, or again, some students don't care. They're just going to buy a water damage book. For us, I don't like to buy these. I would buy something like this, although 86% isn't a great feedback. But again, they've got 19 books, like new. Maybe that's a red flag there, but that's a book you could potentially buy at $62. This book has sold in the $60 range, no problem. If we zoom out, we do see a nice textbook pattern, and the price even jumping up as high as about $70 or $80 used, which new, it's probably higher. Sorry, prime, it's probably higher. We see a nice textbook pattern again, where the price is low prior to August, rank drops, price goes up. That's exactly what we want to see. This is a very good textbook pattern, and it sells well in the off season as well. So again, I would probably do two things. One, I might look to buy this for the $65 price point and try and list it in that $100 range. Two, I'm going to set a Keepa alert, and if somebody drops this price at $41.79 or cheaper, I want to get triggered and hopefully find a good book, maybe from a Goodwill or from another seller where their repricer kicked in, or a new seller came on that listing, either one. So I would do two things. I would set a trap to track it. Two, let's see if that cheapest prime price is still there. It is in the $100 range, and if I'm willing to be number 2 in line, I can get $119. 3 in line, I can get $150, but then I'm actually getting too close to Amazon. So I'd probably price in the $119, $129 range. And again, we could buy this like new. There was 19 copies available for about $66. Let's match the lowest prime at $109. Again, the ROI is not high. It's 31%, but you're making $20 a click. This particular seller had multiple copies. And if there's any problems, if it's not the right book, if it's an instructor's edition, if it's a counterfeit, any problems, you can always return to Amazon. It's a little bit of a headache, but you're never out any money. If we're able to get $119, we can make 40% ROI and a profit of about $29 or closer to $30 per click. Again, there's 19 books. If you're willing to really roll the dice, you could buy 5, 6, 8, 10, all 19 copies. It's up to you. If you're just starting out, you don't have a lot of capital, I would not put all your eggs in one basket. I might buy a copy or two, wait for $109, and see what happens. Again, if the price drops to $99, which is not unrealistic, it's not. You should be able to sell it at $99. If there's other prices in the $60 or $70 merchant fulfilled range, you can make $11. So again, you're probably not going to lose money. Again, you could. The market can change in any time, just like the stock market, but that's what we're after.
All right, hopefully that video was helpful for you guys. Hopefully you saw quite a few ways that you can use outliers to find profitable books to flip for this 14-day challenge. I recommend a lot of you guys, like I said, write down those searches, use some of those same searches, and make some little adjustments for yourself based on the results you're getting to find books that fit the criteria you're looking for. Again, I really want to emphasize one of the things Caleb talked about a couple times in the video you just saw, is that the lower price books, when you did the offers of $10 or lower versus like prime $40 or higher, a lot of people are trying to find those exact books because they're cheap. One of the best things you can do and do this successfully is to go for the higher priced books. You saw in one of his searches, he went and said one at the bottom, he said lowest merchant fulfilled is between $20 and $50, and then the highest prime is $100 or greater. A lot fewer people are looking for those books because they don't want to spend $50 in a book. But as long as the ROI is there, as long as the potential is there to sell that book, it's better to be spending $50 on a merchant fulfilled book because the fees are going to be less from Amazon. There's always those fixed fees plus the variable fees. So the fixed fees you're paying whether you're buying a $10 book or selling a $10 book or a $100 book. The variable fees will be adjusted. So you have more coming back into your pocket by doing those higher priced books. You have less competition to do those higher priced books. And the benefit of this challenge is you're trying to do it once a day. If I have a goal of spending $30 each day, I can either find 3 $10 books or I can find one $30 book that perfectly fits my criteria. So don't just try and be bottom feeders. You guys can do that. There is profit in it, but there's a lot less competition up a little higher. So shoot up a little higher, find out what works for you, and then start doing some purchases today. I'll be doing updates on YouTube every day for the next 14 days. They'll be very short. I won't be showing the exact ISBNs that I'm buying, but I'll try and show the charts, why I purchased the book I did, the estimated ROI, and then tracking it along the way. Now, before you guys run off and start buying books for this challenge, download the tracker below. That's going to be the plan, so you can put in your plan in there, and then if you look at the tabs at the bottom of that Excel spreadsheet, You can also open your tracker for eFLIP. I highly recommend you use this. One of the most important parts about doing eFLIP is you're going to have a bunch of different books come to your house from a bunch of different sellers. You need to have some way of tracking which books come in, which books don't show up at your house, and also which condition did you order them in. Did you get the right book? Does it actually match? That is something you're going to have to do. So when books come into your house and when you buy books, make sure you input that information into that tracking spreadsheet there. And then check off if it's been received, if it's the proper book. Because every once in a while you will have sellers send you the wrong book or in a worse condition than you purchased it at, and you'll want to return that. Just to make note of, if you want to return a book, the seller has to pay for everything. You can return it completely free. If the seller tries to say you have to pay for shipping, you don't. You can contact Amazon for that. So be sure to take advantage of that. If they send the wrong book, please return that book. Don't just try and keep it and write it off as a loss. Return that book. That's why it's great to track this as you go along. So be on the lookout for those updates. If you guys think it would be helpful to do kind of maybe a live stream once a week for the next 2 weeks, we can analyze books together and stuff like that. Let me know in the comments below if you think that would be helpful, and I will do that. But yeah, be lookout for my updates for the next 14 days. Hopefully you guys can stay on track, follow your plan, and spend 10 to 15 minutes a day doing this and see if online arbitrage works well for you. Hopefully it will, and you guys will be successful with it. Thank you for watching these intro videos. The next video you guys will see will be my first update of what I purchased day 1 of the 14-day eFLIP challenge. Thank you guys for being here. Talk to you soon.